The weather in Minecraft is random, and it's meant to be impossible to control it unless you use commands. Except it is possible to control the weather in Minecraft in survival using only redstone with no cheats and no commands. And this lets you do some pretty epic stuff with lightning too. Now to build this weather machine, I'll need a lot of materials. And I'll need to complete 3 phases. Phase 1, gather everything I need and downgrade my world to 1.12 without corrupting it. Then in phase 2, I will create a massive perimeter to store the weather machine. And finally, in phase 3, I'll build everything which will give me the power to control the weather and the lightning. Now unfortunately, when you downgrade a world to 1.12, certain items get deleted even though they're in that version. So instead of slime blocks, I need slime balls. Instead of powered rails, I need sticks, gold, and redstone. And instead of colourful concrete, I've got to use boring blocks like stone and dirt. And since I'm digging a perimeter, I'll need a lot of redstone items, and thankfully pistons, observers, and redstone blocks all downgrade fine. And so now I'm going to get to work crafting and gathering every single item that I need. And this is every single item. Well, almost. Because I'll also have to make sure I have all the needed tools and plenty of food. For the tool side, I can just come to my bedrock factory and grab the ones that I use for that. I'm also going to need a very special item, and it's one that no matter what, I can't lose. Yes, the dragon egg. So there it is. And the reason it just gave me the advancement again is that I've downgraded my world before and you lose all your advancements, so that's the reason for that. You can safely go into there. And the final thing I want is an entire shulker box worth of chests. But getting that requires a lot of wood, which I can now get from a new source. Not only can I get it from mining away at this tree farm, but now I can use bamboo. As you can see, I've got quite a lot of it, which I can take out, turn into blocks, and then use to make planks and chests. And the best thing is, whilst I'm busy mining away at the tree farm, the bamboo will nicely be growing in the background. Well, I stopped paying attention and at some point my axe broke. Oh well. And we're overflowing with wood. But the good thing is I'm overflowing with enough wood to get all the chests that I need. And that's it. I've now got every single item. Apart from the fact that I do need a new axe. And I do need to make it netherite. And I am ready for the downgrade. And the reason for creating this insane weather machine is not just because it looks cool, but it also allows you to get thousands of these skeleton traps every minute. And these have a very rare chance to drop a Protection 8 gold helmet, which is what I'm gonna get. And if I'm insanely lucky, I can get a Protection 6 diamond helmet, which I can eventually turn to netherite, and I'll be one of the only players to own one of them. And speaking of helmets, I have released new beanies on sp77.store. They come in 5 different colours, and at the moment it's winter, it's freezing, these will keep your head warm, and yes, I have ears by the way. Here's something you don't see every day, it's me wearing a hat, but it's comfy, just maybe not built for a headset. And whilst you're on the store, you can also get the very cool signed armor trim poster. I've personally signed every single one of these, and I think it might be my favourite poster. And I'm going to keep the beanie on whilst I do it just for good measure. So the first step for this successful downgrade is we must go to the correct location. And the place that I need to fly to get there is about 10,000 blocks in this direction. This right here is the spot. It's kind of specific. I'll explain why in a moment, but what I'm going to do is build a nether portal, head on through. Then I need to dye these shulker boxes blue because 1.12 deletes light grey ones, and then it's downgrade time. To make sure my spawn chunks don't get loaded and overwritten by 1.12, I'm going to go into the world save folder, then the region folder, and I'll select these 4 files. Then I'll right click, properties, and make them read only. And now when I load this world in 1.12, the downgrade has been successful. And now phase 2 can begin, which is to dig a massive perimeter. Although this spot right here is not where it will be. You see, the weather machine is split into 2 sections. The part that controls the weather cycle, which is right here, and then the part that will control the lightning, which is 20,000 blocks in this direction. So I'm going to build a portal here, and once I go through, I'll break this one right here, which is apparently going to take a while, and then I'm going to try and spot an enderman, because I completely forgot to bring the pearls and the ladder. And whilst I'm roaming, it's probably a good idea for me to make some rockets. And if you're wondering why the textures aren't the old 1.12 ones, that's just because I'm using a texture pack that keeps the modern ones. So I do think that they look way better. I'm going to repair this portal and just look for an enderman out here because it is nighttime. There we go. That was way faster. Now to get rid of you, he dropped the pearl. I also need a little bit of wood. Okay, well, I'm getting attacked from all angles here. I better, a little bit of wood is enough. This time I really can go back to the nether. I really can break this portal. And I can go above the bedrock by digging a tunnel up, finding a good spot, then throwing an ender pearl at the ladder. Straight up, no problem. And now I'm going to spend a bit of time improving my gear, because Silk Touch is going to be very useful, and so will Looting 3 when I eventually get it. At this point, I haven't had much joy on getting what I need, but I can now add Unbreaking to the Electra, but I have ended up with a lot of very useful items. Speaking of useful items, I'm now going to take out the dragon egg, as well as some redstone and the torches. From there, I need to lower my render distance down to 2, and we're going to break bedrock using this little fella. So I start off with a piston like that, with a torch there and the egg on top. And then with redstone, I'm going to run it so that it goes outside of the rendered chunks. So once I pass here, yep, we should now be far away enough. We're then going to just power it on and off a little bit. And when I return, the egg is gone and it has fallen below and broken the bedrock. From there, I can get it back, but I've got to do a little bit of piston pushing downwards to do it, which is a little bit finicky. But basically, I'll just push a block into it. And then, yeah, you see it popped off. We've got it back. I can then repeat the process to get rid of that one, like so. And as you can see, it was successful. And I basically just repeat this until I have a hole that I can get through. I reckon this time might be the right one. Yep, we are down to netherrack, so I can place the ladders down, put everything back, and build a brand new portal. This should work fine and link me going through this way. Yep, looking good. I'm going back through. It should also take me up here. Yep, nicely done. In 1.12, if you build a portal above the bedrock, it will not work sending you back the other way, which is why I had to go slightly underneath. But with that done, I can build a nice tall tower that I can see from far away. Then I need to fly very, very far away in this direction. And this right here is the spot, and I'm going to do the exact same thing again to break even more bedrock. And this has been done successfully, and you're probably going to have to get used to seeing that because there's going to be a lot of bedrock breaking done in this video. And it actually makes the dragon egg useful for once. So I've made the portal, I'll light it. I don't have any ladders left to place them there. But as you can see, we're in a place full of wood. So I'll chop a few trees, make some sticks and ladders, and get them placed down. I'm also going to take this opportunity to finally get that looting sword, since now that I have sticks, I can craft more, and hopefully get it pretty soon. But we'll have to see. I just keep getting Bane of Arthropods at the moment. Finally, we've got it! Looting 3. Okay, and you know what? That's pretty good. And when combined with some other stuff, it gives me one that is pretty good. And now this is where the fun can begin, because this is where I'm going to build a massive perimeter. The area cleared is going to be an 18 chunk by 18 chunk area, and I'll be building a load of world eaters to destroy it. And I've worked out that this is the very corner of it, so it's going to cover this entire area, which means I have the joy of taking my sponge and removing a lot of water. Little ones like these are not too bad at all, but it's the parts where I have to deal with the rivers that are a bit more annoying. I'm trying to avoid that with my placement, but maybe a little has to go. And I'm also tired of not being able to sleep, so I'm going to have to get rid of a few sheep, and then I can craft a bed and not have to deal with mobs anymore at night. Got a nice little camp set up here. All these slime balls can become slime blocks. They're actually going to be what I use for the world eater. And I do think dirt's going to be useful for removing a bunch of this, so I'm going to grab that as well. And that way I can easily wall off the deeper areas that need to be removed. And I might as well remove these trees that are at the highest point, because if anything is going to break the world eater, it would be these guys. I've started dividing up the area. It's probably the biggest part to do as well, so I'm going to put it off and do some of these easier bits. It's also annoying that it's being done in an area where there's just so many trees, but with the way that this farm works, it has to be built here. I'll explain fully later on. And we're sadly in a version where hoes do not break sponges faster. That didn't come in till 1.16, so it's the method of slowly mining with my fist that we'll have to do. And sponges also don't instantly dry in the nether in this version. That was added in 1.15, so I'll have to use a furnace to dry them all later on. And at this point, I think I've got rid of all the little pools of water, and so it's just these bigger areas that are left. So in preparation for that, I'm going to grab some furnaces, dry out all of the sponge, and get rid of all of the water. And that is section number 1, all completely drained. And now it's time to do this big area right here. All drained, nicely done, which just leaves this river that I need to remove. And that's something I can do whilst my sponge dries, because I'm probably going to need all of it to remove this massive river. Mission accomplished, fantastic, but, well, this bit's okay, I don't need to worry about that. However, I did notice one or two little bits here and there that I missed, and I also think it would be a good idea for me to remove this pool of water here because it will be under the machine. But once that's done and dusted, I can begin making the world eater. And at last, it is done. Draining this spot took way longer than I thought. I didn't think it was going to be that big, but at least I don't have to worry about it anymore. And as far as I'm aware, I've got rid of every single bit of water here that needs to go. which means I can now begin the next project and build the World Eater. I've put every single item needed in my inventory. The rest can just stay in here. I'll also quickly repair this shovel because it is so close to breaking. And now the build can begin. It all starts with a bit of slime right here. It's actually very annoying to build these because once you place an observer in this version, it activates when you do it. So it keeps activating my machine and moving everything when it's not supposed to every time I trigger an observer. So basically, it just means I have to be a little bit more selective in the order that I build things. Although even then, it's still causing me trouble. I can kind of just do it like this and it should... no, it's just going worse. Not to worry. Once I've worked out how to do it, I have to do it loads more times, but I'll have it worked out soon. I just have to make sure that I place the observers first and then the pistons afterwards. That way, nothing should move by mistake. Or alternatively, I can place obsidian so that the piston can't extend. Sometimes it's all just about coming up with a way to outsmart the system. And this little unit here is now officially done, finally. And work can begin on the return pad system, which is hopefully a little bit less painful. Well, now that I know to be careful about the order that I place the observers, things are going quite a bit more smoothly. And with the return pad now successfully built, I'm going to build a load more of these World Eater machines all the way along here, starting first from this spot. Progress is definitely much better now that I understand what I'm doing, and obsidian is helping so much. Another one's done nice and quickly, as well as the return pad. And now to get busy building the rest of this entire machine. And at long last, it is now finished. So let's fly over to this side. And I need to move all these items because otherwise they're just going to get blown up from above. And also, when I repair my shovel, I should just do it with a brand new one, then it costs less diamonds. Don't know why I didn't think of that before. And I'll also mine away this platform, otherwise it'll block the TNT that's meant to go down there. The chest can instead be safely stowed over here with an obsidian wall just for extra protection. And then to activate each machine, I need to activate this observer here. So I'm just going to do it with a redstone block. We go like that, and there it goes. Releasing the TNT, and then I can break this. It will just keep going backwards and forwards itself now. Today is not a good day to be a sheep. And then when it eventually reaches the other side, it goes into here, moves along, and sends it back. The TNT doesn't blow it up, the TNT goes down there. And from there, it just keeps going backwards and forwards. So I'll activate the other ones as well. There we go. Every single one is flying. I don't think any of them are broken so far. These random blocks you see floating around are just purely visual glitches as well. Because look, if I place a dirt next to it, it just disappears. I need to make sure I go around and remove any water or lava that it produces. So really, it just involves a lot of flying around for SP737. And it looks like a lot of water in some places, but really, it's just a pool, and once you get rid of that, all of that will go. So it's not too bad at all. It's a fairly quick process. I'd say it's the lava that's the harder bit. I'm hoping that there's no lava pools, but as we get lower, there will be lava lakes and stuff. So that's what's going to take me a bit more time. Because with water, it's easy. You just place a load of sponge and it's gone instantly. Okay, well, that wasn't exactly part of the plan. Note to self, do not land on the sponge that you're placing. And here we have one of these stupid lava lakes. So yeah, this is where it will get a lot more annoying. I mean, it's not super deep, but I can't use scaffolding because we don't have it in this version. And actually, to be fair, it wasn't that bad. This bottom piston is coming off and getting stuck, which then stops these from going back. So I'm going to see what happens if I go like this. Does anything happen? No. Apparently that piston is kind of crucial, but I suppose it's good because it means I can control this a little bit and I can go through now and get rid of any water without worrying too much about things getting out of hand, but it will also slow me down a little bit. I don't know why it's doing that. It never did it in testing, but anyway. I should concentrate on the more important things like getting another totem and getting these machines back to how they should be, as well as removing water. That's kind of important too. All pistons have now been removed and added back over there as needed. I'll get rid of this water and also this down here. And my elytra have just broke. Now, where are the spare ones? Okay, there are some in there. They're not the ones that I put on breaking through on, but they'll have to do for now. And the really good news is I've worked out why the machine wasn't going back and forth and why the pistons were getting stuck. And it's literally because I was using a redstone block to activate it, which was then pushing a piston that shouldn't. So if I instead just use a normal block, the machine sets off and the piston stays here, which is much more like what's supposed to happen. Also, unfortunately, one of the machines seems to have blown itself up, so I'm just going to leave it there and not worry about it. The way this works, even if there's certain segments missing, the perimeter still can be made. So that's good news at the very least. And on top of that, they are all now activated. And hopefully all working fine. I can see more lava and water, so I'll keep removing it so that it doesn't become a problem. Also, try not to blow yourself up, SP737. This is a bit tight. One heart. Yeah. I should be more careful with this. Don't be removing water when there's TNT coming straight for you. I've not really felt overwhelmed with the amount of water and lava that I've had to deal with. It's also more annoying when you have to deal with obsidian because there was some water right here. But that's why I got myself a good pickaxe, because you've got to be ready to deal with all sorts of stuff. And at this point, everything seems to be working fine, so let's just get this perimeter done. No! Okay, we're just gonna blow it up. Yep. Never mind. Not what I meant to happen, but I guess it got rid of it faster than expected. For this one, I'm going to break the TNT first and then the rest of it. And that does seem to be a much safer option. And anyway, I'm then going to use those materials to build some more world eaters that are a bit lower down so that they manage to reach bedrock. That is this bit of it done. But of course, I also need the return pad, which is a little bit low, and build up a new one right here. That's that done. And I'm not going to build as many of these little TNT tubers as I had before. Instead, I'm going to do half as many so that it doesn't take me as long to build. And all that means is I'll just have to run each one for twice as long. Slowly but surely, I'm building more of these machines. Right here, we've got the 5th one finished. And now I'm going to go ahead and build another 5. And there we have it. They're all successfully built on this side. I'm going to patch up the water on this side, which also needs doing in this spot too. It's just way, way bigger. And then I can start removing the rest of these at this side and build new ones right here. That's all of them built and sorted. And now I can get the rest of the perimeter dug. I've almost cleared all the lava. As you can see, it's pretty much there. This TNT is just going for extra effect. And the way I've done it is pretty much to place dirt and mine it away. Or, if I've needed to, I could also use buckets. Only issue with doing that is I've not got much iron left now. I've nearly gone through an entire shulker box. And it's also mined all the obsidian that has taken quite a bit of time. And that's almost all the lava over here drained away. Just got to remove these bits and this over here. And it's also going to be helpful for now for me to leave those bottom bits of lava here. I'll explain why later. First things first, I'm going to get rid of this final area. And I think that's that. I think all of this lava is now gotten rid of for pretty much the entire perimeter. And now I can give you an explanation. This lightning farm works through something called RNG manipulation. RNG stands for random number generation. And during every single game tick, Minecraft is constantly generating random numbers to decide if certain things should happen. Such as when a sapling should grow, or when grass should spread, or which mob should spawn, what the weather should be, when lava creates fire, when lightning should spawn, and much, much more. And when the game decides where to create a lightning strike, any chunk within 128 blocks that is to the west of the player is checked. And if it contains any lava, grass, crops, leaves, fire, or vines, it could then make the lightning spawn somewhere else some of the time. So by removing all of these, the lightning will strike in the same place every single time. And because when you downgrade a world in Minecraft, the seed always goes to seed 0, I know that the seed of this world is seed 0, and I know that the lightning will strike in this spot, providing that there is no lava to the west, so this way. So I'm going to use my buckets and dirt to remove it all. And every now and again, there will be times where there is lava actually trapped underneath the bedrock. It's kind of rare, but it can happen. I'll know if it's there because I will have removed all the lava, but still be able to hear it. And the way to do that is just to use the dragon egg by placing it there, and then lower the render distance to 2, so that when I deactivate the piston, the bedrock will be broken, and if there was lava underneath, I could access it. So yeah, that's what I need to do. So I'm just going to get busy removing all this lava. And that, from what I can tell, is all of the lava dealt with. If I missed the odd bit here and there, it won't affect the farm too much, but I'm pretty sure I've dealt with all of it that needs to go. And so the area is now ready to build the lightning farm. However, if you've not got a thunderstorm, a lightning farm is not very useful. So I'm just going to quickly break this little machine here, and then I'm going to build part 1 of this farm, which is the weather machine. And when you consider how complex the builds in this video are going to be, the weather machine part is actually very straightforward. How it works is a little bit complicated, but the build itself is pretty small and pretty effective. So I've picked out every single item I'm going to need, and then I'm going to use the glass to make a bit of a platform. Then I can head through, and it connects to my portal right here. Thank goodness for that. We would have had a problem if it didn't work properly. And next I'm just going to build a very tall tower so I have a bit of a marker, which should make it easy to find that portal. Then I fly in this direction because we have got to go back to the original location. There it is. I know you've been wondering all this time why I built a portal over here. Why did I need to travel between? Well, all will be revealed because now it is time for me to explain how the weather machine works. Once again, this uses RNG manipulation, and both the weather machine and lightning farm use what I'm about to explain. In a Minecraft world, lots of things happen randomly, but if you use a certain seed, the world generation will always be the same, which means structures will also always be in the same place. And Minecraft is made up of regions that are 80 by 80 chunks in size. Inside these regions, one woodland mansion will attempt to spawn in the same place every time if you're using the same seed. When doing this, for a split second, it resets the world RNG to a specific number, which is different in every region. And every time you load a chunk inside a region, it will reset the entire world RNG again and again. So if we know the seed, we know what the RNG is going to be set to. And because I've downgraded my world to 1.12, I know that the seed is 0. And I also know right now that I'm in a region where the RNG will give me a thunderstorm, which is why I came to these exact coordinates. So I'll build the weather machine and explain how it works. So this right here is the platform that I'm going to stand on. And right here, I need a bed. Why do I need a bed? Well, when you sleep in Minecraft, of course it resets time so that it is day. But before 1.17, it would also reset the weather cycle to a random amount. And that random amount would determine how long until it starts raining and how long until it starts thundering. But if I load a chunk in this region, just as it's resetting the weather cycle to a random value, I can decide what that random value is. I can manipulate that random value so that a thunderstorm happens in just 10 minutes rather than the usual wait time of around 6 hours. I hope it all makes sense. I've really simplified the explanation as much as I can, but it's still a complicated thing. But I'll link videos with much more detailed explanations in the description. And because my render distance is set to 12, this chunk here will be unloaded and will get loaded when the redstone reaches the end. And this chunk is going to get loaded by the hopper. Because I'm manipulating the weather, it has to be a hopper that loads the chunks, not redstone line. It's just the way the RNG works. I'm not going to explain it here. But basically, for a split second, this torch will get turned off and an item will get sent into the chest, which will load the chunk. And I must now layer this redstone all the way down. And that is all of it done. The delay that is set through these repeaters combined with all the other redstone means that the moment I wake up, the chunk will be loaded, which will set the weather cycle at the perfect time. So now, I've just got to wait for the sun to go down. Whilst I do that, I can probably mine up all this glass. I just had this here for chunk alignment. The sun's going down. I can get into the bed. And now that I've got out of bed, I know that the thunderstorm is going to start in exactly 10 minutes and 22 seconds. So I might as well get out of here and head to where the lightning farm's gonna be. Here we are. And I can actually build a little bit of this farm before the thunderstorm starts. Now this right here is the platform where the lightning is gonna strike. But it'll only strike there if I am stood in a very specific spot, which is right here. It doesn't matter what height I'm at, but I have to be at this X and Z coordinate. So I'm gonna build upwards and then build a long redstone line that will go to the edge of the render distance and load chunks, which will spawn lightning. I've got to be pretty quick because the sun's going down, which means the thunderstorm's going to start, but hell, I'll just get busy with the redstone. It's happening. It's raining. What did I tell you? The sun's going down and the thunderstorm is starting. And here's the interesting thing. Because we're in an area where loading chunks makes lightning strike, if I fly into this area, look at this. Loads of lightning is going off. You can see, look, one there. Did we just... Okay, well, we just got one of these. Look at that. This is what I mean. We're in a lightning strike region. And these exist in the world where you can just get more strikes by loading in the chunks. It's like a lot of happening. It's very cool, but as I said, we want these to all happen in a specific spot, which is why we need the redstone sorting, which shouldn't be too much trouble at all. All the redstone's down, and this is a new chunk that, when loaded, will spawn the lightning. I've added that platform so that you can see the lightning better. And if I push this button, lightning will strike. If I then pause the game a few times to save and unload the chunks and push it again, it strikes again. And I can just keep doing this over and over again, and we can keep getting lightning on that platform. And if I build the redstone out so it reaches another chunk, and if I pause and unpause the game a few times, you'll see 2 lightning strikes spawn. And then if I extend this out loads of chunks in this direction, you'll see that the thunderstorm decides to stop. Okay, that's kind of annoying, but don't worry, because I'll just head through this portal, fly in this direction, head down here through this portal, and since it's now night, I can sleep, which will soon give me the thunderstorm. And whilst I wait, I have completely run out of food, and I'm getting very, very hungry. I can't even sprint. So I'm going to hunt for some animals to eat. At the moment, I can only see chickens. I prefer cows. Well, these will just pick me up for a little bit. I wish I'd just remembered to bring more food, because it would have saved a lot of time. But anyway, you probably want to see how this farm's going to work, but before that, yeah, I have to wait. And not far from where I am, there's a desert pyramid, and there's a village, as well as more food. And I'll also use these horses to get leather, so I can repair my elytra. And as I've still got to wait another couple of minutes before it thunders, I'm just going to keep expanding the bridge. I must have messed up the chunk loading, because for some reason it didn't work. So if I use it again, and place loads more blocks whilst I wait, I will this time get a thunderstorm. And this part's pretty fun, so let's see in action. We'll pause and unpause the game, as usual. Press this button, and just look at all the lightning strike, and then I can unpause like this, and I can do it again, and it'll just do that. And it is so cool. Just by doing this, you can do it over and over and over again. But this much lightning is not enough. I want this to load hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of chunks in a row so that I get hundreds and hundreds of lightning strikes in a row. And just to clarify, the redstone is loading a new chunk every single tick. And when it does that, it sets the RNG value to a certain number that will make a lightning strike happen. And when it does that, it sets the RNG back to a certain number that will make the lightning strike in a certain location. And the reason I need to come to this location to get the value for the right lightning strikes is because I use a tool by Earth Computer where you just enter your seed and it tells you where you need to go. And my plan now is just to place down all the redstone I need. We're gonna get rows and rows and rows of it. And it's gonna be epic. And that is all the stone down that I'm gonna need. It should load every needed chunk. And now I just need to layer it up with redstone. And as I place the redstone into this chunk, it is done. And as you can see, it covers an absolutely massive area, which is going to give me so much lightning. But of course, we actually want to see it in action. So I'll have to wait till it's nighttime to use the weather machine to get a thunderstorm again. In the meantime, I'm just going to do some item sorting. And now the sun has gone down, so let's get that thunderstorm on the way. And I'm going to move this portal upwards too. That's much better. And it connects correctly too. And since I have now still got to wait a little bit for it to start, I think I'm going to build a bit more of this farm. For example, this platform where the lightning strikes is also going to need trapdoors on it. And since the player is going to be stood down here, I need the redstone to connect up there. To do that, I'm going to craft some stone slabs. And then I'm going to tower them upwards with redstone on top that creates something like this. And it's an easy way to send a signal upwards. That's the job done. It is now connected, but for now, because I'm still going to use this button just to show you what's happening, I'll connect this up like so. Any moment now, the thunderstorm should start. There we go. It's coming down. And when I push this button, we should get a ridiculous amount of lightning over there. Are you ready? As it loads all the chunks one by one, look at it go. What have we created, ladies and gentlemen? Doesn't it look epic? And it's just going to keep going over and over again until every bit of redstone is loaded, which takes about 45 seconds. And the issue is with this, of course, that we don't just want lightning. I mean, what use would that be? Yeah, it looks cool, but there's not much more to it. No, if we can summon loads and loads of skeleton traps, we can get the very rare Protection 6 and Protection 8 helmets. And to get them to spawn, I'm going to need armor stands. If I open every single trapdoor and place armor stands on top, it will cause the lightning to strike the armor stands instead, and it will make the skeleton trap spawn. But then the skeleton horse will just kind of stand up here and be stuck. And if I open the trapdoor so it can fall down, the armor stand will fall down. So how am I going to get around this? It's a pretty simple solution, but I need a spider to do it. Perfect. There's two of them right here. Next, I craft a trusty fishing rod. And I need to add 2 blocks into the corners, and this is just for alignment, because now if I go ahead and fishing rod the armor stand and pull, okay, well, I didn't mean to do that, guys, but that's what happens if you open the trapdoors. Anyway, let me just get you back. Well, yeah, if I hook the armor stand and don't look at the trapdoor and pull, you'll see it comes up to this corner, and now when we open the trapdoor, it stays. But if a skeleton trap spawns here, it will fall. Very neat little solution. I was very proud of myself when I found it. A lot of other farms get the horses to just spawn on top of walls and then they fall through, but for me that never worked. They would never spawn on the walls. So this is my solution. All of them are in place. Do you want to see what happens when I now push the button? Here we go. It should start spawning lightning. Okay. I think the thunderstorm has ended. It's just rain now. Okay, you'll have to wait a little bit longer to see what happens. And I'll have to wait until it's night again to activate this machine. Looks like the sun has finally set. This time I can actually sleep. And so the building can continue. Now just to clarify, I could make it so that there was thousands of redstone between the 2 portals, so that I could just press a button from one side and it would activate that chunk miles and miles away at the perfect time. But since they're like 3,000 or 4,000 blocks away, I just didn't think it would be worth it. I just think it makes more sense just to fly between. It's quite complicated. You got to use permaloads as well to make it all work. So I didn't want to do that. And whilst I wait to show you what will happen next when I push this button in a thunderstorm, I am going to build the next part of this farm, because I will need some sort of system that will collect and process all of the horses that fall. I'm telling you, there's going to be tens of thousands of them, okay? It's a ridiculous amount. It's so fast. So the system has to be very well made to process them all without lagging the game out completely as well. As you can probably guess, this is the chute that all of the skeleton traps will fall down. But yeah, if I just kill them with fall damage, all they will drop is bones and arrows. They won't drop any XP. They won't drop any armor. And armor is the key thing. I don't care about the XP. So I will also have to hit them as they go down. Okay, that's part of it. But we want to see this in action, don't we? We want to see the armor stands now. So I just perch myself in the middle here. Press this button. And look at it. Now, every single time one of them falls. Okay, some of those trapdoors I didn't open, which wasn't super smart. Also, I haven't got it so that loads and loads of the chunks load, because that would just, you know, be too many of the horses to deal with. Oh, and you can see, okay, well, you can just see what happens there. I said, you guys just like strafe off and fall in the holes. That would just be great. I need to... Whoa, you broke my armor stands and all. What's that all about? But anyway, you can see how it works. I'm going to get rid of this thunderstorm because I don't need to show you again. Instead, I'll build the system that processes the horses. And I know I started placing ice there, but I think it's going to be easier if I start from here and work my way upwards. I'm going to begin with the bits that makes it so that I can hit the horses as they fall, and then I can get the armor from them when they drop to their doom. And it's going to be a pretty simple system to do this. It's just going to be a gate that opens and closes based on the timings of a hopper clock. You've seen me build these many times before. It's just a couple of hoppers that are going into each other with comparators either side, and then sticky pistons that move a redstone block. I'm going to put 4 items in here, and that makes the gate open every now and again, but I don't want it to keep doing that forever. So for now, I can turn it off by flicking a lever like this. Then I can continue bringing the glass upwards, and because the player's going to be standing here, I've got a trapdoor that's going to jam them into a certain spot, but I'm also going to need a cake. Since a cake was the only item with the right hitbox size, however, I'm not hungry enough yet to eat all of it. I need it just to be a little slither. So I'll finish eating that when I'm a bit more peckish. There's also going to be a trapdoor here. So I'm going to be stood like in this kind of area, swinging like this over and over. Can also eat another bit. Wait, can we eat all of it? I think that's all we need. Let's just see. Will we fit in? I'm not sure. Oh, no, we will fit in. I just need to place a bit of a roof over my head. So now when I go in, we can only go this way and that way, but I need something else that's going to jam me up against this, because if I move back, I might not hit all of the skeletons that I need to. And to do that, we're going to use a boat. A boat pushed up against a double chest just so happens to be the perfect size for what we need here. So if I put that like that and get up to that corner, and then I can jam it in with an iron bar here. So now I can't move backwards. The only way I can move is this way, but we can only go so far that way as well. And now, when I get myself in here, locked in, if I do push against that, it pushes me back. So it keeps me in a pretty small position, really, doesn't it? And from here, it's now back to placing packed ice, because the horses need to get pushed down here. You can kind of see how it's going to work. I'm going to use ice as water, because it's just a much more compact way to carry it. It flows just far enough. And then this wall can be brought up even further with the ice added in too. This is where I can add even more of an explanation to the farm. Why did I make the player stand at this Y level? Why did I make him stand underneath this water? Well, for a skeleton horse to become 4 of them and get the skeletons on top with the armor, you have to have the player within 10 blocks. So if the player is stood under here, that'll mean that the horses will be close enough. So there's my ice. Now's the time to get the water down, and it just flows down nicely. Now these walls just need to be built up quite a bit more, and then we can turn a corner and start adding even more ice, which will eventually connect to that one. It really is starting to come together, isn't it? I don't have that much ice left, but if I place it all along here towards the end and break it, the water just flows all the way down and stops at the very end. Very nice indeed. And whilst I still do need to build a massive collection system so I can process the items and sort out the helmets, I think we should start a thunderstorm and see it in action. I kind of want to see how it's looking. My lights just broke and I just popped a totem. And I don't think I have any spare ones left. I think I used them all. So now I'm going to have to be a lot more careful. And I didn't bring another elytra, so yeah, we're going on foot. This is going to take forever. Despite that, I've successfully made it and can go to sleep. And I can walk back. And it's taken me that long to get back that it's already thunderstorming. I'll get these new elytra on, and I can change this so that the redstone connects all to that and will connect from down there. Then I just get myself into here, flick this lever upwards, and we should be getting loads of lightning. You can see it up there. Loads of them are spawning one after the other, and as they get close to me, they're all getting struck by lightning and transformed. And as you can see, I'll just be here hitting them. But of course, the situation still remains that once they get to the bottom, there is just loads of XP here and loads of items. If I have this running constantly... That was tight. I forgot to have a totem. And these guys really do pack a punch. Yeah, I really do not like the fact that I'm building this farm without totems. So I'm going to get more food, repair my armor, and get busy building a system that will collect every single item up. Now what's going on here is the items and XP are going to be sent into here and sent onto a slime block. That block will be pushed by a piston, shooting the items and the XP upwards, and that allows me to get rid of the XP but keep the items. I'll show you how when it's actually in action. Right now I think I need to pop to the nether to get some magma because I can't find any. But thankfully it is very easy to find. That's going to go right there, and it will get rid of any rogue mobs that have survived because they have really good armor. So the mobs will land here, they will die, their items will get pushed by the pistons into this one hole and then pushed into the water. And I just need to get all of this connected to some redstone that will act as a a bit of a clock. And as you can see, when I flick this lever, they're all moving. Every single thing is extending. And that means I can continue to expand the glass upwards. I'm going to grab myself a load more wood, because to finish this build, I'm going to need 62 signs. That should be enough wood, and that should be enough signs. I'll need one here to hold back some water, and one here to hold back more as well. And this is where the items are going to be carried along. That's why I've got this water. And for the XP, it's not going to turn out so well, because we're going to have another sign here with lava at the top right here. So the items will go to this height and flow along, but the XP will go higher and burn. I'm literally just doing that so that it makes the farm way less laggy. That's the mob chute completely filled in. And at this point, I now need to build a massive item sorter. Now, I could have mobs at the bottom that can pick up items if I was only trying to get diamond helmets, because then they pick up the good diamond helmets and discard everything else. But that unfortunately doesn't work when you want to get gold helmets, which is why I'm about to build this massive elaborate system. It's not that complicated. It's just basically a massive item sorter that you've seen me build many times before. So I shall now get busy building it. And this is done. And now I need to fill up all these hoppers, so I'm just using these items which I've got as blockers. And then this slot is filled with bones or arrows so that no other items can get in. They're all done, and these other ones can now be filled with bones. Perfect, so that's all the bones dealt with, that's all the arrows dealt with, and it's also the XP dealt with. But these mobs will also drop a ridiculous amount of bows along with the armor pieces. So I'm now going to add a system here that will destroy all the bones by burning them in a furnace. And there's going to be hoppers that are all facing that way, and that is where all the armor will go, somewhere over there. The furnace will be on top of here, and then there'll be an observer facing into it. Then there'll be a dropper facing into the furnace. If the item's a bow, it will go into the furnace. If the item in the dropper is not a bow and it's an armor piece, it will go into these hoppers and flow along. This little contraption here creates a 10-second delay when an item goes into the furnace, so that no other bows filter down there whilst the furnace slot is filled. I'll add a few more hoppers going into this one so that all the items definitely get collected. And that's the first module complete. You won't see in action until the farm is actually in use. But I am now going to build another 39 of them to keep up with the sheer amount of items that this farm produces. The design of that little module is Biomango. It's very, very nice indeed. And I'm going to build all the modules starting from this far end, because then it's much easier to place the hoppers facing the correct way. Once this is done, the farm is so close to being done, so I'll put my best foot forward and get to work. And with all of that done, all of the bows will be disposed of, leaving the armor to converge into this chest. But each thunderstorm will bring me hundreds and hundreds of armor pieces, because there'll be that many of the horses spawning. So to deal with that, I'm going to build 2 shulker box loaders so that nothing gets overrun. And that is it done. It's just a simple shulker box loader by El Mango. The furnace bits are also by El Mango too. Right here I'm building a little area where I can easily check and destroy the shulker boxes. Once I put the flints in here, that should do it. It lights it on fire and destroy. Yep, it'll work, trust me. You can see it in action later. I made this platform a little bit bigger so I don't have to walk on uneven bedrock. And it'll also be useful later on if under these chests there is a glass platform. And at this point, it does look like it's completely done. We're about to see it in action, which is going to be amazing. But first, we do need to fill all of these furnaces up and hoppers with cobblestone. That way the bows will actually be destroyed. That's all of them filled. And these chests also need to be completely filled to the top with shulker boxes. I'll be constantly topping these up as I sift through all the items. And I need a couple of shulkers here to be in the loaders. And with that, it is now for sure all ready. So I'm going to get myself over here, fly across, which is a lot better when you don't have to walk. And once the sun sets, I can get a thunderstorm on the way. The thunderstorm's in full flow. I've checked and everything seems to be working. So if I push this button, lightning will start striking on that platform. And this will keep happening for 45 seconds until the next autosave. As the horses get close to me, they'll be struck with lightning and be turned into 4. And I will keep hitting them with looting 3 so that they can drop their armor with an 11% chance. From there, they die to 4 damage at the bottom. And the XP and the items are pushed up here. As you can see, the XP is burning, but the items are not. And then the items go through the sorter, which filters out the bows into furnaces. And then the armor pieces go into this chest, where the shulker boxes are filled. It looks like the thunderstorm has stopped, and every 45 seconds after an autosave to keep the farm going, I have to repress the button, so we're going to build something that stops me from having to do that. But before that, I just want to see what's come through. We've got a shulker box of items here. The worrying thing is that there is bones and arrows that have got through, which means something's not right. I think it's because when I first started the machine, I forgot to flick this lever and I only put it on halfway through, so a massive clump of bones and arrows went through that the machine wasn't designed to handle. But that shouldn't happen again. It did just cause some backlog. So we're looking for the gold helmets. Right away, you can see There's nothing. I mean, there's a Prot 2 Fire Prot 1, which is kind of rare. Well, kind of rare normally, but when we've got this happening, that is very uninteresting indeed. An Unbreaking 5 helmet. Yeah, you can get some very glitch stuff from doing this, and yeah, we're just going to chuck these down like that. And I'm gonna build something called an autosave detector. In fact, before that, I could probably get the next thunderstorm started, and then I could build the autosave detector whilst waiting. This could all come together. There we go. And the reason I'm going to build an autosave detector over here is because every time the game saves, it unloads chunks that are outside your render distance. So instead of me having to press a button every time the game saves, I can build a machine that knows when the game has saved, and it will reactivate all of these repeaters and reload all the chunks back in again, creating even more lightning over there. So I shall start by removing this redstone and also the bridge. And then from down here, I'm going to change this bit of redstone to a torch. So now the machine is off, and we can put a lever right here. So this is off. If I turn the light on, then I know the machine is on. And from there, I can start placing everything down that's gonna make this work. And it looks like the thunderstorm's already started before I'm ready. Whether I can get it built before the storm ends remains to be seen. And it looks like I can get it done in time, because it's pretty much just the same build twice on top of itself. Half of the build is in an unloaded chunk, and half the build is in loaded chunks. That's how it detects if the game is auto-saved. I'll quickly check to see if all those rogue items have filtered out the machine. It looks like it's... Look at that, that's kind of a cool item. Anyway, it looks like we're now okay. So for what's left of this thunderstorm, I am going to run the machine to its full capacity. I turn the autosave detector on by flicking this, and the lightning begins striking. And this time when the game saves, it's just going to carry on. So this is going to be a non-stop thing of horses until the thunderstorm ends. Very nice indeed. Let's see if we get some cool items. The storm has ended. The last few stragglers have gone. There's plenty of boxes here. And I'll do a quick check through. This isn't actually the full amount of how many items you can get from one thunderstorm. It's only a small fraction. And if it's not Prot 6 or above, I'm not even interested in it. That's a pretty good one. As you can see, it's Protection 5. I'm not going to save it because we are going to get something much better than that. But, it's, you know, we're on the right track. We're making progress. Unbreaking 5, that's kind of cool. And Projectile Protection 7. That's just worth having for now. Like, I want a Protection 8 and normal Prot 8, but that's still very, very cool indeed. So it's a nice start, but now it's back to the machine to start a storm. And I'm just going to keep using this machine over and over again for loads and loads of days, and I'll save all the good loot and then show it to you at the end. Let's see what we can get down there. And that is another cycle of using this farm complete. And very early on, I already managed to get a Protection 8 gold helmet, even though in my testing, I never got one. I got one, yeah, pretty quickly this time. Look at it. Prot 4 Unbreaking 3, Prot 4 Aqua Infinity. Fantastic. Better than these Protection 7 ones. We have got these to sift through, these shulker boxes here. Not sure why bows are getting through. I'm guessing that maybe I ran out of cobblestone, but it doesn't matter because I don't need this system anymore. It was just purely to get the golden helmet. So right now, I'm just looking through these shulker boxes to see if there's any diamond ones, which there isn't, and that makes sense because they are super, super rare. You know, you need to have thousands and thousands to spawn to get one to drop, and then it's only a really, really tiny chance that it'll be a Protection 6 one. It would take me weeks of using this farm all the time to get it, and if you guys want to see this video soon, we don't have time for that. So I am going to take this helmet. I think I'll take the projectile protection ones as well. I think they're just a cool little extra trophy. I'll leave everything else here. I don't really need... I mean, I suppose the shulker shells can come. And we can also get an illegal bow. Look, it's got power 2 and power 3 on it. Those don't stack though, unfortunately. So they're not really useful. They're just cool to look at. Whereas actually a Protection 8 gold helmet actually gives you more protection than a Prot 6 diamond helmet. So yeah, it's pretty cool. But it's an illegal item, so we might as well keep it. And since these fellas spawned on the slime blocks, if any diamond armor did fall, they would pick it up. So that's why I don't need this system anymore, because these guys would pick up a diamond helmet. Whereas with gold ones, I just keep swapping them and messing it up, which is why I couldn't use that. So maybe in the future, I will come back here to get that diamond helmet. It would be very cool to get it and then be able to make it netherite. But for now, I'm going to fly away from this area, and then I can return to 1.20. I've changed the spawn chunks so that they're no longer read-only as well. And here we are, back in the latest version. And this is home sweet home. I can finally grab another totem. And because I've been like Thor, controlling the weather, controlling lightning, I think it makes sense that in my Asgardian palace, I place my Protection 8 gold helmet, as well as the Projectile Protection 7 ones. And then on top can go this illegal Power 5 bow as well. And now on screen you can watch a video where I build a farm to get all of this bedrock, or a video where I build this massive netherite farm to get thousands and thousands of ancient debris.